So this morning I will be talking about experience again and the way things really are. I'm not going to tell you what the way things really are, but we're going to explore that a little bit from a few perspectives this morning. And I'm going to start with a quote by David McMahan, who recently wrote a book called Rethinking Meditation. And this is how he puts experience. Experience presents not as a collection of neutral things that appear first as mental representations and then acquire meaning, but experience presents things as ready to hand, already saturated with meanings. Hammers are used to pound nails. A spoon is for scooping food. Doorknob beckons us to turn it and move into the next room. Things are always already infused with meaning, purpose, and value, supplied by the culture and its conventions. So, in respect to that, I think that he gives us permission to consider even meditation is ready to hand meanings. You come to a meditation practice, we all have them. Meditation is for sitting absolutely still. It's for not thinking, no judgments, a neutral space to find peace, whatever variation we may have on this. And that has also changed over the years. My definition of meditation is much different than when I first started, however long ago that was. But in this sense, it really validates our trying to take pressure off matching our experience to this already ready-made meaning of meditation that we carry with us, and to really be honest about what we're experiencing, and that's the way things really are for us in meditation. So I'm going to this phrase, the way things really are, because it is a Pali phrase that was taught in early Buddhism. The Pali terminology is yatha bhutam, and it talks about, from an early Buddhist perspective, the Buddha really used that about our experience. How is our experience? It's not the way things really are in gravity or in kind of the conceptual ways that the solar system exists, or maybe even, now how we would talk about the internet. The Buddha was really looking at how do you look at what your experience really is. And so now I'm going to give you some more definitions. So one is from our book, and then one is from Wikipedia, and another one is something I made up. But all of them are somewhat made up. I want you to know that they really are. So here's from our book. This is the way things really are. We talk about them as conditioned. Okay, a short definition is in order, but I hesitate because conditionality isn't a concept to be tacked on. It's a lived experience. That's why we talk about experience so much in meditation and outside of it. We're asking people to look at what conditions their own direct experience. And we're not expecting to do this perfectly or in some prescribed manner. A simple definition for conditionality is that things, really most things, maybe all things, including and maybe especially our inner worlds, arise from a myriad different and ever-changing causes and conditions. So now you know our view. It's in writing, and I've also said it on a recording. Now this next definition about the way things really are, this is a combination of things that I picked up from the internet, because even as I'm giving you one definition, it's one of many, because there's different ways to talk about conditionality in different traditions. But this is what's called a non-dual understanding of reality. The English term non-duality is derived from the Sanskrit Hindu term Advaita, not two, or one without a second, which means that reality does not consist of discrete, separate objects, but forms a unified whole, an ultimate reality, which can be experienced as such. And from the Buddhist term Advaya, also meaning not two, without a second, unique, or ultimate, the meaning that two truths, conventional reality and ultimate reality, they're two but not separate. But to realize this requires perfect knowledge. So those are two Buddhist definitions of reality that could really seem polar, opposite, very different. So I'm going to add in one of my own from my experience. I went to a Catholic church yesterday with my dad. It was the anniversary of my mom's death, 2 years, and they said a special mass for her. And when I was in the church, I could hear their definition of reality, eternal life, eternal peace, and trying to have some of this experience on earth, but it seems mostly that that comes with death. Like you have to die to have eternal peace or to have life. I mean, that's unfortunate, I feel, in some respects, but that's kind of what I was hearing. And again, I'm hearing this on a new angle. This is what I was raised in. And um, and probably we all have some mixture of this. The U.S. was started as a Christian um, a country, even though it was tried to separate religion from secular teachings. But it seems that in thinking about that there's more definitions of reality. I mean, there's a ton of them, not one, not two, and that we live in a melting pot. And in the US, I think we're a prime example of a melting pot. We have a lot of different cultures. We hear about different realities. We actually know people that have different realities than we do, and it comes from culture, from their cultures. Um, so I made the analogy and kind of jumped to reflective meditation is like a melting pot of meditation cultures. And I really suspect this and believe it even because we talk about our experience. We talk about what happens in meditation for us, and our cultures melt and blend, soften. We become very influenced by what other people talk about their experiences are. And not so much on this daily online. We can't go into as much depth in that last 10 minutes. But in our smaller groups, we have a chance to really hear people's honest experience. And it affects us differently. To hear another meditation practice done from another person that we value their input, it changes. We take on that view differently. And I have that view even of eternalism a little bit differently, coming at it from really seeing how much it means to my father, how much it meant to our family. There seems to be less ill will in me for other types of reality, and that they can coexist. So, as I stood in the church, I was really thinking about, the wars that people wage to protect their beliefs and the very human urges that we have to find one truth and one reality, the best truth, and that it might be worth dying for. And I was also in touch with the goodwill and sincerity and dedication of people that were showing up and going through their rituals and what they believed and kind of putting their bodies and minds into a practice that had a lot of meaning for them. So I'm going to end with this combination of contradictions that we are. And that it just struck me that I was, holding, being raised by a faith in eternity and had converted to a faith of uncertainty. So, thank you. We'll meditate together.